Let's talk about Chapter 6 in Introduction to Medical Practice Management. We are still discussing the revenue cycle, and this chapter starts on page 133 of the book. The objectives are listed there for you. Evaluating the registration process is where we start on page 134. So the receptionist, we discussed in Unit 1 just how important that person is as far because the revenue process begins with the actual appointment. So obtaining all that information, all that necessary documentation, etc. Well, beyond the receptionist, the manager is responsible for checking the day sheet, charges, payments, etc. The manager has to verify items, make sure all the appointments were billed, make sure the appointments have been paid for appropriately, make sure people did show, and if they were a no show, is that documented, etc. Um, and the book also discusses what to do with discrepancies, how often they should evaluate, etc. as a manager. Page 135, discrepancies between the appointment sheet, sign-in sheet, day sheet. Checklists are offered here in the book. Evaluating billing practices, EOBs. Very important for EOBs, for managers to review that type of information too. And not just managers, but the billers in general. Page 136, reviewing the EOB, patient responsibility. EOBs are important for denials. If the explanation is typically on, let me back up. An EOB is an explanation of benefits. So, as an insurance consumer, health insurance consumer, when I go to the doctor, and when you go to the doctor, you pay your copay typically, because again, remember, we are in a prospective, pro-payment, pre-payment healthcare system right now. So we pay our copay, we see our doctor, and then a week, 10 days, 30 days later, we get an EOB, usually electronically, because a lot of the health insurance companies are not mailing them any longer. And you go online to your portal and you see that the bill was either approved or denied by your health insurance company, or maybe at the appointment we only paid $15, but because they billed as a specialty, now we owe $10 because the copay should have been 25, due to whatever procedure we had or what the visit was for. So that's what an EOB does, the explanation of benefits for a healthcare consumer. So when we receive them, the healthcare office will also receive notification of payment or denial. So pages 137, 138, they go, well, 138 is where it starts, but common reasons for denial. And you can read through that. No referral or authorization. That is a big thing, especially when it comes to surgeries. Our health insurance companies will not pay without prior authorization, and I don't blame them. You have to make sure, when you spend that kind of money, that it is warranted, needed, documented, etc. Page 140, charges bundled, unbundled. That is just great information to know. We mentioned this in the last unit, that oftentimes a particular population of patients will have their codes, their billing codes, like grouped into one. One code or one bundle covers multiple um, diagnostic tests, medicines, expected recovery time, etc. Timely filing is very, very important. That's mentioned on page 141. Duplicate charges, you do not want to do that accidentally, because that could be seen as fraud. And it's not just that you bill twice, there's other factors in that. You can read about that. Payment adjustments, collection practices, page 143. So right now in this country, I think it might be in legislature right now, but currently healthcare facilities can put bad debt on patients' credit reports. So you want to make sure you pay your healthcare bills. I mean, just as important as paying your mortgage on time. And many healthcare facilities are willing to set up a payment plan. And on that same, excuse me, that same notion, page 144 goes over the differences between write-offs, bad debt, and charity care. Charity care is definitely something you have to apply for. You cannot be of a higher income and just not want to pay your healthcare bill. You have to apply for it. You have to qualify for charity care. And again, back to the bad debt. That is something, like I said, it's in legislature this year, I believe. They're trying to get that waived. They're trying to keep people's healthcare debt off of credit reports. Okay. Write-offs is also mentioned on page 144. That is typically when debts can't be paid and where like someone has passed away, there's not an estate. I'm keeping flipping through the pages here. I'm on page 147. So reports and benchmarking, the industry standards are also called benchmarking. So we need to know in healthcare facilities, how do we compare to others? What is the nationwide standard? Running reports is listed there. Reports is a huge part of being a manager. You have to run reports for the money that's owed to you. How long has it been owed to you? How many payments did you receive today? Make sure those payments were applied appropriately. Reports for denial. Are you having the same type of denial multiple times over? There's a report for that. Page 149, flip to 150. Benchmarking is still mentioned there also. Income and expenses. As a manager, of course, this is very important. Making deposits. Not many, well, I mean, I guess healthcare facilities still take cash. Actually, I don't know if they do. I don't know. So making deposits, that would most likely be electronically for majority of healthcare facilities, but there may be a few who still accept cash, and that would include the manager taking the cash and depositing it in the bank, etc. And there's got to be a check behind that too. Like somebody needs to check and make sure that money made it to the bank to prevent any type of fraud or money mishandling. Expenses to include, this is referring to different specialties, medical facilities. It can be different for different types of facilities. Types of supplies on page 154, table 6.2, determining the fee schedule. This is office managers responsible for monitoring the fee schedule for services and procedures. You do not want to overcharge, nor do you want to undercharge. You want to get what is the standard, what is the benchmark across the nation typically. Now it can vary. Even here locally, prices of MRIs vary throughout healthcare facilities, and sometimes that's because one healthcare facility may have an MRI machine that's 10 years old. It works just fine, but it's 10 years old. So, in other words, it's paid for. They don't have to bill as much. Where the facility next door to them, they have a brand new MRI machine. It does the same job. Of course, now let's be honest, most technology is improved, especially over 10 years. But my point is that facility with the brand new MRI is going to charge more and bill more for their MRIs, just in the sake of business. You have to. Payroll is on page 156, summaries, and then the review exercises and activities. So yes, that is chapter 6. If you have any questions, please reach out to me.